Hello, everyone. Today, I got three more fantastic horror books. And what makes these fantastic is that if you give me a good werewolf story, I'm happy. If you give me a good slasher story, I'm happy. If you give me a good, creepy, psychological horror story, of course, I'm happy. And I've had the privilege of reading these three books that cover each of those genres in the past week. And I can't wait to tell you all about them. So, no matter what kind of horror you're into, you're going to find something here to love, I'm pretty sure. And as a reminder, I have horror books for sale. And you can find my debut horror novel, Pray for Salvation, my latest anthology, Nothing Will Ever Be Fine Again, and others at the link in the description. You can also join my Patreon. There you'll receive free copies of all my books, free copies of other books every month, free short horror stories and other things. There's one tier, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to check that out as well. All right, let's get started. All right, so we're going to start out with a good old fashioned slasher. This one is called Catholic Schoolgirls versus Inbreeds. Now, look at that cover. Think about the title of the book, and you get the idea of what you're getting yourself into, like a good old 80s slasher story, right? And that's exactly what you get. But I mean, this one goes beyond what you think it's going to be. At least it did for me. This one is gross. This one is disgusting. This one is disturbing. This one has all them beats of a good slasher that you want. And yes, it is about a group of Catholic high school girls. Their bus kind of gets stranded after they take a unexpected detour on a trip, and there's woods on either side. But unbeknownst to them, living in these woods is a huge colony, a pack of a family of inbreeds. They've been inbreeding there and hunting on those in those woods for years and years and years. They are deformed. They are horrific. They have no morals. They have a bloodlust like no other, and they are coming for anybody that steps foot in them woods, even if they are Catholic schoolgirls. I mean, this one has so much blood and so much gore. It's deliciously disgusting, as I like to say, and you will absolutely love it. But here's the thing: also, there's a couple other things that make this book stand out in the slasher genre. Is that first of all, these characters, the girls themselves, they are not one dimensional. They are very well written by this author. So you get a sense of depth to each of these girls and each of their hopes and dreams and their fears and things that are going on in their lives, which helps really build the tension because you're hoping that uh, these girls are going to make it, and then your hopes are going to be dashed to little tiny bloody pieces when they don't. Uh, but here's the other thing: the ones that aren't killed outright are being saved for something much more horrendous, something that they probably wish they had died instead of having to endure with these horrific humanoid inbred creatures have in store for them in the woods. I mean, it is stomach churning at times what is going to go on here, but you'll have to read about that to find out. And the thing that I really like is that you can tell that this book was written by a filmmaker, Todd Nunes, and because it has all that great pacing of a movie. Like you will see this as a movie in your head, like a good slasher movie in your head as you're reading it. I mean, all them scenes are going to be very vivid and they're going to stand out. And there are going to be some scenes in here you will never ever forget. As a matter of fact, if they make this into a movie, I'd be a happy camper. I would definitely watch it. It would be right up there with the Terrifier movies, as far as how far they can push the extreme slasher genre. And this one definitely would do that. But this one is excellent. I absolutely loved it. And there is a link down below, of course, where you can pick up your copy, and you can find that link in the description. And I highly recommend it. And next, if you know me, you know I love a great werewolf story, short story, novel, novelette, novella. Whatever you got when it comes to werewolves, if you do it right, I'm a fan. And this one is no exception. Wolf's Hide. This is a full-length novel, and this one is epic because it starts out uh, with a chapter from in the 1940s in Germany during World War II, and we're going to see how our main antagonist, how the main werewolf creature in this story gets to be that way. And throughout the book, we'll have flashbacks back to that time to discover just how he became the way he is. Think about if a werewolf was actually also a psychopath, like a psychopathic killer, and had those instincts to hunt, had those instincts to stalk, and had those instincts to try to inflict as much not just physical but mental and emotional pain on his victims. And you kind of get the idea of what this thing is like. It's very, very terrifying. Uh, and this is going to cover the course of like many, many years. And there's a sheriff in a small town. He's a Native American sheriff. And one day, let's just say he sees something he will never forget. His friends, his co-workers are simply slaughtered by this beast. And his daughter, who had been camping with her friends in the woods, they found all their friends' bodies, all of her friends' bodies, but she has just disappeared. So he gets no closure over what happened to her, although they assume she's dead. But he decides to quit the force and spend his time, make it his mission to track down this creature who goes from state to state. He doesn't stay in one place too long. And over the course of 10 years, he is going to try to track this creature down, trying to, uh, when this creature goes to some towns, he'll turn some people. So this ex-sheriff makes it his point to go in there and kill all those people, trying to do it unawares, of course, because they might not be in wolf form. But in the meantime, this wolf enjoys playing with this man's emotions and playing with his head, and so he taunts him. So this is like a horrific cat and mouse game across many states in the United States as the sheriff tries to track this thing down, and as this creature just leaves a bloody, horrific trail in its wake. And yeah, things are going to come to a head, and it is just fantastic. This is a werewolf book you definitely want to read. It's got everything you want. It's a great, epic, full-length adventure, and you'll just be right in that world. And you've never seen a vampire quite act quite like this with that psychopathic tendencies, and it was really, really excellent. And of course, I highly recommend it. And there is a link down below where, of course, you can pick up your copy. And next we have Sacrilege. If you want a creepy, uh, psychological story, which is kind of, I'm trying to think of how to put this, it's kind of a love story, but it's not a really romantic love story. It's a really twisted kind of demented sort of love story. Then this is a book for you, but it's very effective and it does exactly what it set out to do. This is about an ex-priest. He left the priesthood, and we're going to find out why through flashbacks in this book, and those get really, really, oh man, really, really frightening, like goosebumps on your arms, because we are going to be privy to some of the confessions he heard from his parishioners, some of the horrible things they did, and it kind of shook his faith in the God that he served. Uh, and now he's just kind of a drifter, and he finds himself at this boarding house. And his plan is to stay there, but eventually he's going to kill himself. That's his plan. He wants to kill himself and end his suffering. He's also an alcoholic. And so he spends a good amount of time just drinking his life away as he ponders love and life and faith and all of that. But he's going to meet the owner of this boarding house, and she's owned it for just a short time. But at first, she seems kind of standoffish because she really doesn't want any friends there. She's just there to conduct her business. As long as they pay her, she'll perform her the functions that she needs to keep the place running. And she's not very forthcoming. But that will change when something brutally horrific happens to somebody well, I'm not going to say too much, but something happens and it's going to kind of draw these two people together, this ex-priest and this boarding house owner, and they're going to form a relationship. And they both have these horrific, dark secrets from their past that they're not willing to reveal to each other. But in the meantime, their relationship mainly consists of a lot of alcohol, and there are going to be drugs involved, and it gets kind of twisted. And as their secrets are revealed slowly over the course of this excellent book, uh, things just take a very dark turn because there's also something about that boarding house, something that might not let them leave, uh, even though they desperately want to escape things from their past that are still haunting them. But this one is just, it's dark and it's bleak, and it goes over all those issues of love and faith and relationships, and but it does it in such a creepy way that you just feel the chills as you're reading it. At least I did. Uh, yeah, and I'm not usually into these. You know how I feel about romance in my horror books. Like, no, no, don't. But this one, it's like the main focus. So it's not only integral, but it's done in such a dark way that I can get behind that. you know. Yeah, this one is excellent. I absolutely loved it, and I absolutely loved it. And you'll definitely want to pick it up for yourself. And there is a link down below where you can do so. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.